Welcome back. Thank you for being here. And so this is the third and the last day of the workshop. Much information, much discussion, much reflection, questions, answers, experiences. And now we start the third day morning session with Philippe Caligario from University of Federal of Pernambuco in Recife, who actually was as I wrote on the webpage, the program would be dynamic, interactive. So now Philippe is here and we'll talk about interface, generation, and various things. And after that, Carlos Eduardo Melo, who was also scheduled on Monday morning, but who was very sick, he will be here. So and then to end the session, we'll have two short experiences about composers and musicians using this kind of new generation tools. Mateus Souza, who's a violinist, and also Carlos Arana, who's a guitarist and a composer, and so. And then the afternoon, I will tell later, but we'll propose some kind of wrap-up session with some questions, basically trying to find the task. If you remember about the talk by Giordano, the task of when you compose music. Second, the design space was proposed by Gébert, and the third, the kind of the mapping in terms of emotion, not just for games, but in somehow in a general sense, because anyway you want to convey emotion in music. So what are the ways for musicians and for tools, for AI-based tools to grasp this? So thank you, Philippe, please. And
thank you, Jean-Pierre.
Thanks again to
No sound?
Você está captando?
Tem só. 1, 2, 3.
Deixa eu captar do meu, então pode deixar falando.
Beleza, 1, 2, testando. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ótimo.
The acoustic signal connection is the one
It's working. This one is working, yeah.
The old technology.
The air.
Air supported.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay. So just to say it again on the record,
Yes,
it has been a transformative journey for me. The discussions are in a high level, and I would thank you very much for the invitation. And it will be a very important opportunity for me because I'm in a very reflective phase of my studies, and your feedback will be very important in my academic journey. So just to start, this is my first badge in Centro de Informática. We talked inside our group, let's do some different photographs, crazy photographs. We have some reference from the professors, and let's do something that I was the only one doing that. So You have my beautiful hair that I don't have it anymore. No beer, yeah. Petit enfant, petit enfant. And yet, some of the institutions that I represent here, MUSTIC is our research group, the research that we coordinate together in Centro de Informática. We have a BATBIT, that's an experimentation group that we just talked a lot about our strategy. We call ourselves a company, we call ourselves like a research group, and then we found this experimentation group, because we don't commit it to research, but we are always doing something in BATBIT. And of course, Centro de Informática and Universidade Federal de Pernambuco. Just to explain, I really like this middle spot there, like being in the my PhD, my master was just in the intersection between design, computer science, and just to simplify, but in music. Just to simplify, because I work with electronic prototypes, digital fabrication, but just to make it inside this intersection. And for me, intersections are the... It's not?
No, to speak from streaming.
Oh, sorry. Just let me stream my screen here. This one. Sorry. Now it goes. Perfect. So, and I think this sweet spot, this intersection is that sweet spot with the highest potential. We were discussing yesterday about this interdisciplinary and all the energy that we can get, the creative energy that we can get in this area. I have some questions that guided my work in my PhD, in my first attempt in the university as a professor. As I mentioned yesterday, I'm a young professor in the university. I didn't finish my probation year of 3 years. I still doing the 3 years estágio probatório.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm starting to, and the pandemic was really good for reflection, bad for things that, yeah, well. So I have some questions here that I want to share with you in 3 main dimensions. The first one is considering interfaces and tools about the conception and how to stimulate, engage, and facilitate exploration in idea generation. I'm going to talk about here in the presentation. I'm going to present some of the projects that I did in the 9 area. So new interface for music expression. And I would like to raise the level of abstraction. And the title of the presentation is Interface for Creative Process. So let's discuss about this question here in this mapping between interface, interaction, and creative process. So to start about the conception, if you understand the idea generation and idea realization, this cycle of generating an idea and then actually make it realize it in a complete artifact. The first question is how to stimulate, engage, facilitate exploration. And the second one is how to decrease the time and effort to realize ideas. So there is this term, time to market. I'm saying it is time to prototype. How can we reduce this gap between abstract and concrete? In my studies in the PhD, this cycle of generation and realization makes the process really rich in terms of idea. But then I've been reflecting a lot. I'm thinking a lot about another dimension, because you can have um, a good interface that would stimulate, engage, and facilitate exploration. You could have this a small time to a short time to prototype, and then you can come. But if the tools, the methods, the process, they are not available, it doesn't work. Uh, so availability, I've been discussing it a lot in DMI community. How can we replicate our instruments to make them available for other people to experiment, to appropriate, to change, to question things? Because it's just discussions about how the instrument works. But as you mentioned yesterday, Jean-Pierre, if you don't create, if you don't actually use it, you cannot understand it. So, and I've made a negative formulation, not a negative, but in just doing the opposite of I statement is that if my hypothesis that if the interface are not engaging, if they have a high technical barriers, and the time and effort are in a high manner, and they are not easily available, the users are shallow, do not allow intimacy and appropriation. So they cannot be bended, blended, and subverted. And this last formulation, maybe it's a little bit far from the questions before,
No.
but why it's important to subvert? I think it's when you see the artifact in a different way that was not thought by the designer of the artifact. And we're going to discuss it in some of the instruments that I made. Things will get just in a bubble. When you subvert, you just pop this bubble, and you can access different areas. So just to start presenting some of my projects, I'm calling here prehistory. And Geber is part of this prehistory. As my professional advisor, it's not because it's our ancient.
I'm a very young guy.
So just to mention, this was a multi-touch table that we experimented in 2008. It is multi-touch entertainment surface applications. This is the MESA. It stands for that, and we used in two disciplines: one on games, digital games, and one for computer music. We made that instrument. Actually, we experimented some of the available tools that we had back in 2008. And it was really fun to build. It was a plexiglass. You could illuminate the plexiglass with infrared LEDs. And then then we had to break some of PSI, that webcam, to remove that filters infrared. And we just place another filter that will filter a visual light, but then will pass infrared. It's just a way of control. As soon as you place the finger, it will make a blob. It will have this frustration of the total internal reflection inside the plexiglass. Was a very simple thing to do. It's a complicated concept, but it was very simple. And then we could experiment beyond the keyboard, the mouse, doing things like that. Oh, sorry. I think they have to play.
It's on purpose, the language.
It's French.
Yeah. This is you can see this green image there. It was a node projector that we have in Centro de Informática, and the professor just André Santos just you can get this one. It's not working. But that's an important point. Is doing things with what is available.
Yeah.
So we had some mirrors. We use oil. How do you say azeite? Olive oil.
With olive oil.
Come
With olive.
with the then we to increase the deu uma cuspida aqui agora, pelo amor de Deus.
That's contact.
Eu deu just to increase the sensing part of the screen. You just place some oil there, and it was very
So you built your own. What's now on the smartphone?
Yeah, we built the multi-touch back in
So
2008.
now you really understand all the basic
Yeah.
process, and not just using as a.
Yeah,
Wow,
that's it.
fantastic.
And then I started experimenting a bunch of small projects, but I just selected some of interesting parts. Here's a very simple experiment I made in Belo Horizonte. I spent 3 weeks developing instruments, and we've just placed two wires inside the bowl of water here, and add salt. And this was connected with a very simple oscillator. And
You have salt
the small things there to
The secret binding.
yeah, secret binding. Yeah, it's really used in secret binding. But this oscillator was a very cheap that we had on the market, and the idea here it's a very tiny piece of what I'm interested. It's the interaction. The water became the interface, and then as soon
The
as you
concept is fun.
yeah, the concept is fun. That's the point.
Yeah, and water. I mean, all human beings were
Yeah,
born in
it's
water.
familiar with-
We're born in utero
Yeah.
water, so
And
everybody understands.
And it's a very a great tangible interface. I mean, there's artists to make a contact carrier doing secret
Yeah. Yeah.
secret binding.
Secret binding.
Secret.
Circuit
Secret
bending.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Thank
secret
you.
bending is that there are layers of exploration, and that to get the existing instrument, and then you open it, and then you start to experiment the connection. You can lick your finger, and then you start placing some of the.
And you burn it.
Yeah, then you can possibly burn it. But that's part of the process too. It's a very interesting thing. And also, at the end of this process, I created 3 instruments that sound simple things, as simples coisas sonoras. And I think it's the last project of the pre-history.
Wow.
Oui. Et comment, how do you
How to say that in English? I don't know.
So, three common things we have at home. Just how can we just with a magic wand, how can we transform those things and we transform them in this? You perceive that the sound is not that good. That was
Oh,
not
it's
the
really
point.
bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's the opposite. But the idea is to experiment the interface and the familiarity of the object.
Intuitive.
Yeah.
interface.
So I have these three different approaches. Made it with a very simple circuitry, and now I would like to do this second phase of my work is the BAT-BIT. BAT-BIT, this group of experimentation I have with João Trachtenberg. It's a PhD student in design there in Recife. And we've just worked together since 2012. And oh, they did a master in computer science. I'm just doing the photograph right now.
Student.
Yeah, it was our not my student, Giba and Jordan student in computer science. And we developed different kinds of experimentation. Now he is in the PhD in design in his meta level, just thinking about processes and everything. I would like to highlight here a very important project for BAT-BIT. Was mainly developed by João, but I took some part in ideas. But it's important to bring to the discussion here. And it's made with Helder Vasconcelos, that is an actor, a musician, and a dancer there in Recife. He was part of a very famous band called Mestre Ambrosio, and he is a master in not master academic, but mestre em Cavalo Marinho e Maracatu, baque.
Maracatu Rural.
Maracatu Rural. Ele é caboclo de. He is a caboclo in
Two kind of musical styles in dancing.
Yeah. So he is some very interesting character because he's into the tradition, but also looking to with the technology to experiment to those both worlds. So Tunta is an insole that you place inside the a very simple insole that is just the ESD insoles that just protect from the static electric energy that the people put this insole. João just used a sewing kit to make these insoles a sensor. As soon as you stop there is a step, you can sense the pressure, and then you can map the pressure with some triggering and this kind of thing. So I'm going to show some of the videos.
Não são três coisas diferentes. Partem do mesmo impulso.
It gives some idea, but you saw that with this button, and you can change the layers of the mapping just using the button. You would change the states. And Tunta is because Elder wanted a tun in one foot and ta in the other foot. So Tunta. But I just selected here. I would like to have it in English. Let me see how can I click here. We just translated it. Just let me put the translation. Just pay attention at what Elder mentions about the process of using the Tunta.
O movimento é extremamente ligado ao que está sendo tocado, ou seja, existe uma relação direta entre o que você vê e o que você ouve. sempre me interessei, eu sempre tive muita vontade de trabalhar com instrumentos digitais. Agora, é claro que quando a gente, assim, quando a gente começa a desenvolver esses instrumentos, isso acaba sendo algo de mão dupla. Eu sou afetado por esse som, meu gesto se transforma, e aí vai transformar o som também. Então, é uma coisa de mão dupla, que mexem ali dentro e detonam surpresas para mim também.
So I think this sentence is so important that I just put it here for us to think about it. The movement is extremely connected to what is being played, and it's a two-way path. I'm affected by the sound. My gesture turns into something else, and then turns also the sound. So it generates feedbacks and detonates surprises. Detonates surprises. So let's keep that reflection in our perspective of discussion here. I'm going to continue stimulating you with some of the other projects so we can discuss later. Another project that João developed in Batbeat, and this one he was really focused for his masters and everything, is it's a gyroscope, accelerometer, and it's basically an IMU. You're going to see that we are not in this high-end technology, high-tech. Well, we dominate the technology that already exists, but we're not proposing anything new in terms of electronics and sensors and this kind of thing. We are trying to use the things that are already available. And this is one of the uses of Jiromi. Jiromi is now becoming a very fancy product. João is working to make it like a small piece that can place whatever you want on the body. It's not a good sentence. This one's not a good sentence, but you can place it. And here's Elder, our partner in crime.
Again.
Yeah, again. And you're going to see Elder in many of our projects because it's a very
Early user.
yeah, early adopter and energy. And also Claudio Rabeca. And this one was the same instrument, but in a different setting.
This is João. This is João.
This is João. So how this feedback looks work with gesture and sound, and how the sound will be influenced. And important thing for us here that we're discussing co-creativity. And co-creativity, my premise is that we have two agents, at least two agents, because one agent will not be collaborative creativity. But you see that Claudio Rabeca and Elder Vasconcelos were playing together. They were interfering with the sound of each other. So it's a very important part of the process that I would like to highlight here. And continuing a project that was a very huge effort to make was a 3x12 tiles in a gallery in Recife.
1 meter tile, let's say.
1 meter. It is 1 meter by 1 meter, and we have a say in Recife that Recife has the longest avenue in straight line of America Latina. It's a very, it's bullshit. It's not true, but we have this. It's a very proud myth that we have, and we just said that here that this is the biggest instrument in straight line of Latin America, and maybe it is. It's a piece interactive. It's like interactive floor, and Elder here again dancing on the.
Tinha sons e disparando sensações e percebeu isso, quer dizer.
And then here, how can we play with the scale of the interactive artifact? The floor became the instrument, and this can extrapolate some of the uses that we normally do with a floor. And just to mention other important points in Batubi history, Passo do Frevo is it's a kind of museum, but an institution to protect Frevo. Frevo is our genre related to our carnival, and we have so many different experiments with Frevo. That's an old approach to composers, like maybe, and then we just started to experiment. And because we did these two performances here, a famous band in Recife invited us to the opening of the Carnival of 2018. It's a big thing. In Recife, Carnival is something, one of the highest, maybe bigger than São João. You mentioned São João yesterday, but Carnival Recife it's bigger, and they gave us 4.5 minutes of a show. Yeah, it was discussing the history of the Frevo, and we had there just to experiment. Well, it's the future of Frevo. So we got this 4.5 minutes, and we're going to show everything that we have. This 4 minutes, and this is the opening. It's a huge stage. It was 7,000 people watching, and I don't think they actually understood it. These are our partners in Prime 2, PUC-Rio. This is one of the instruments I'm going to show. And as you can see, the interface was controlling some part of the clip that was and all the clip was from the archive, our public archive of Frevo. Pay attention to the USB cable attached to the. And here some curious thing happened. You see the camera is focusing on the musicians, but the most important part of the scene here was the dancer. But the camera just consider, and also the editor that's controlling the cameras in the transmission, considers that the dancer is an accessory. So the focus will be on different places that are not important. But the dancer has 3 senses, and she is controlling the music, doing different filters and this kind of thing. And the camera in the eyes are just reflecting what the people are doing on the audience, and the movement of the audience will interfere. You can see that some people are not understanding in the front. It's not. So that was our experiment in one of the biggest stages in the university. And I got so I've altered the some of the orders in my slides yesterday because these are some important projects to bring discussion. But there are other projects that would fit now my narrative here. So just I wouldn't. I'm closing the Bat Beats chapter, but it's for a good reason. In this experimentation with instruments, you saw already Paniva there. It's an instrument that I developed during the Bat Beat experimentation.
And so just a comment, it's fantastic. And what's amazing is that all coordinates well. I mean, the musicians, the human musicians, the dancer, you, and
Yeah,
and it's completely organic. It's
married to the Patka duo. It's a fantastic duo that we partnered with them, and it was so many experiments that we developed that, and I'm happy that you found it in this organic conjunction.
Yeah, likewise. I think it's great. And since we're taking questions now, and you've been bombing us with great projects here, just a couple of links here. Did you? So this was rehearsed for that one, the last one, right? You rehearsed for that.
This one?
Yeah.
Rehearsed? Yeah.
Yeah. But, so did you ever show the InSoul projects outside of Brazil?
Outside of Brazil? Yeah, we presented in 9.
Yeah. Okay.
No, 9 was Jerome. The other one is
Did you go Daniel BC?
No.
There's people in Europe that are doing InSoul dance like that, and they would love to connect with you.
Nice.
Advice, yeah.
Perfect.
Daniel BC is literally doing InSoul for dancers for the last 15 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
There's even companies now. There's a company in Kinetics who is working on InSoul technology, and they always try to find artists to promote the technology. They do it for medical reasons. There's all sorts of posture adjustments and wearable technology, as we call it. And as we teach it in our school, and that's another connection we would love.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah, to have that. So if it's not already known and told, then I can connect you with those people there, because they're gonna like that. The creative is very nice, and the Brazilian also the dance and music will bring something good for them.
Perfect. You do it perfect. Nice, and João will be very happy to not to sue everything in so. Perfect. Then with this experimentation, I start to think about the DMI development process. I'm considering development here, conception and construction. Well, I would put design process, but you're going to see that I'm thinking about the steps that are needed as we are thinking about to decrease the time and effort to build prototypes, and I want to develop some musical instruments here. It's important to understand the process of doing it. And so this next video, it was an effort of 2 weeks that I'm going to present you in 30 seconds. Okay? And then we are going to discuss. So you saw different parts of the process and different mindsets and different skills. So the thing of creating a musical instrument that is a creative interface to explore new ways of playing or new melodies or new harmony yourself. There is a high technical barrier if you're going to create your own instrument. And you would pass all these phases here: structure, electronics, programming, mapping, sound, with all the concepts that goes with this process. And just to keep in mind, that's hard to do a tangible interface, that it's reactive, that it's interactive, and it can expand that can engage and stimulate the exploration. As I mentioned before, my hypothesis is that if we decrease this time, the cycles are more mature. Now I'm going to present Pandivar. Pandivar is the pandeiro de vara. Pandeiro is tambourine with a slide. The slide of the trombone. Yeah, the trombone. It's an instrument. It's a hybrid instrument based on different instruments that already exist, and it's already used in our local community. And local here is important. It's the way you play the pandeiro with the hand, the trombone de vara, that's a very known instrument in frevo, and the posture of using the guitar. And we did some tests. You know this guy already. This is Elder Vasconcelos again, testing. So we didn't give any instruction to Elden, and he just found a way of playing the instrument with already familiar process of using some Italian instrument. That's it's a big tambourine with the skin, and then
Yes, okay.
it's played like that. I have it noted some of the, and this is a very, for two things: the familiarity of the gestures and the smile of Elder. So it's Marcelo Mondelez saw this video, and Marcelo worked with instrumental evaluations, I think, and just thought about it can be a criteria for evaluation, the engagement with the positive engagement with the instrument. and the smile, it's already some kind of response to that good interaction. And here is Jean da Silva. It's a musician that already played with Bjork. It's really connected internationally. He's a percussionist and also plays some modular synthesizer and this kind of thing. And you can see he's using in a different way. So the different uses for the same artifact, different people, they are connecting with a previous experience they have with familiarity with instruments. Again, no instructions to use the instrument. And a good, it's, how can I formulate that? As a designer of instruments, it's difficult to constrain. Now it's not the objective is not to constrain, but to open up, as I mentioned before, the exploration of ideas. How can we make it more explorable? And I started other experiments here with buttons instead of slides, because the slides, the people gave the feedback that was not so accurate to find the tune they want, and then you just replace with buttons.
It's far from the drumming. So if you lose one hand, it's I could see that it's like a berimbau.
And I brought I spent 1 year as the sandwich PhD in Canada, in McGill, and the first musician that it was in the Schulze School of Music, and the first musician that used Pandiva was left-handed. In the Pandiva, as I'm right-handed, so I remove the buttons from one side to the other, and then he could experiment the instrument. He spent 2 weeks with the instrument and doing some of experimentation. But the important part here is the effort that I have to change the mindset, to change the structure of the instrument, so after the cycle of modification would get the instrument again. You see, it's long. The abstraction and the objective idea was to experiment the instrument in a different position. So you have to pass through different process to get the realization of the idea, as I mentioned before. And I'm just accumulating some of the insights to present you this project right now. That's probatio. In Latin, probatio is test, experiment, trial, probatio. And the idea here is considering the morphological chart, for example, that we mentioned before, the design space, and how can we combine ideas of instruments that already exist? And Giordano just did this incredible work of drawing these postures. There's other.
And important idea is to inherit the gesture already mastered.
Yeah. We call it instrumental inheritance. It's how can we, and I think what you mentioned yesterday, the familiarity with the interface. Augmenting, yeah. So just to, this is a simplified version. In the my thesis is with more controls and this kind of thing. But you have the posture, you have the control, and those parts are inspired by existing instruments. And here are some combinations of these So I'm creating some kind of tool, a conceptual tool, that's a morphological chart, a very known tool in design process and design theory. And I'm providing some way of exploring combination. But we are dealing with instruments. This is not that good to have this idea that if you cannot test the instrument. We're dealing with an intermediate interface. Here, it's not a chair that we are thinking. The chair is simple to just sit on that. Instruments are creative interface. You explore, you can only interpret, only interpretation is quite important, but you can also explore new ideas with the instrument. So the final artifact is the exploration, the music exploration at the end. So you have to test this instrument. It's not a matter of a guitar with a crank. Oh, nice idea. No, you have to test it. So Probasio came from the idea of exploding the combination possibilities and to reduce the time and effort to have the functional prototype that's so important to test DMI. And the next video is the first version of Probasio that I developed there in Canada. So as you can see there, you can experiment different postures. You can experiment different positions. Remember the problem we had with Pandivar. It was easily changed. Just change a block from one side to the other. And then I got funded for Rumo Musical Cultural. That's the funding for artists here in Brazil. And I started thinking about the effort to build the Probasio, because as soon as it's built, it's easy to experience, but it was a nightmare to develop them. And it could hinder could be a bottleneck to availability. So we started a project with that in mind, just it was a proof of concept, the first stampede. And how could we make it easily available or easily replicatable for other people around the world to experiment? And then we created this version of Probasio, modifying some of the problems that we had before. The first version was big. Gilbert tried it during my PhD. It could not. And I had a bassist bassist, yeah. He was in this profile of instrumentalist. Was a virtuoso. He wanted to become a virtuoso in one part of the interface. And he started to create a big hand, but was uncomfortable to develop technique. But now I'm going to show the new video. So this version is composed of blocks. The blocks, each block has sensors and different controls, bases that we could combine, and it's made in a parametric way of a mindset that you could produce any kind of block just changing two parameters, and then it's everything online there. I've been questioned by some students about the non-commercial aspect of that, and I would like to discuss to you what you think about non-commercial. Why non-commercial? Yeah, no. The point here was I would not lose the right to become the provider, but if you want to reproduce, just not to sell, you could. But that's a question that I would easily remove it if. And then it would be like really open source, because now it's not open source, because it's and all the 3D printing parts and everything that it's already available. And Marcelo Vanderlei has a version there in Canada, a functional version. I've been there to start the process, to start the conception of this second version, and they already replicated one without my supervision. So the artifact is working, actually working. So, and it's being developed, and I've already updated some of my firmware here in Brazil because they have the platform, and I have the platform. We can talk software right now. This is easier to do that way. Okay, just plug it, and then you can allow this kind of collaboration. This collaboration is very important to develop the ideas, but to test with musicians, it's important to be that this artifact is available for the musician. And it was very difficult to proceed with some of the experiments we are planning to do in 2020 because of this familiars.
It's another kind of interface.
Entity. Yeah, it's another kind of interface there. But just to think about Probasio before going in the second part of the presentation here. Probasio allows exploration of ideas in a fast way. So it's easy to test, easy to combine, and get the response immediately. So it's a way of diving into the DMI design process and get a functional prototype out of the process of the experimentation. But the idea of Probasio was not to be an instrument; it was a prototyping tool. So the idea, this beautiful romantic idea was the musician or the designer, the artist would test the best combination, would press a magic red button, and the wardrobe would open, and then you have an instrument with that combination. Because it was important to develop technique and everything So it's an instrument generator. It's not an instrument, but the people started to use as an instrument. Yes, and then it's
but not. It's fantastic because usually modular is in terms of functions, the oscillator, etc. But the morphology manipulate is completely fixed.
Yeah,
there's no.
It's,
and as you said,
it's not.
Some people are bigger hands, and so some people are left-handed. Some people, but okay, there are some guitars for left-handed, etc.
Yeah,
but this is very the
range
combinatorial is always very fixed. Here you have the complete. It's fantastic.
Yeah, to experiment, and this is a tangible interface to generate other interface. But you see that the computer here is not giving any kind of, it's not a co-creation with the computer. It's exploration. You have a defined design space. You have the tangible combination possible. So I made this drawing yesterday too, just doing some of the presentation, because I saw these. If you analyze Helder Vasconcelos with the insoles, with the Giromin, you just making a mapping, a direct mapping from input to output. You can have different layers and different state machine. You can work with that, but it's a very simple technology, and I think that would explode the possibilities with use of a creative agent and Elder, because Elder had to define all the things before and then press a button on the ground to change to another stage state. And maybe we could think, and it's the first thing that I would bring, what are the importance of those kind of interfaces that consider the body as the interface. You could argue you're already using the body when you are using the keyboard and the mouse, and when you're direct manipulating the elements of a touch screen. But I'm trying to go beyond that. And the other thing is the control you have with multiple parameters at one time. So you can argue that we have a bunch of parameters here. 1, 2, 3, key, W, E, R, T, Y. It's not the same thing. You could produce a gesture with the richness of expressive gesture with so many parameters that could be used in this nuanced and expressive way. That's the case of Giromin. I'm not saying that we must change all the keyboards and the mouse, but what are the other options that could expand our creative exploration? I think that we have a bunch of blue ocean experience and exploration in that area of new interfaces for creative expression. Just getting the 9 and removing music, but to creative process. Not only for exploration of sound, music, but also conceptual design of new artifacts, new instruments. So now I'm going to change it radically because the pandemic here, just let me, the pandemic open up close some opportunities, but open up other opportunities. And I want to present you some of the experiments that I was doing with image synthesis, image synthesis. We are in a music and a game workshop, but whatever. It's an important point because I mentioned before the subversion of interface, subversion of method tools, and I want to open this branch in the presentation here. I think you already know the project. Was mentioned before. Jean-Pierre already showed the style again. This person does not exist. This face there is from a person that does not exist. And also this guy here, this one here, and we have a bunch of this X does not exist. This cat does not exist, this rental does not exist, this beetle does not exist. Why not do some kind of this instrument does not exist? So I got the memo. It's a musical instrument. Museums, I don't know all these, but it's a consortium of more than 100 museums of musical instruments around the world. Basically, Europe is a very big provider of assets, and they have the 54,000 instruments with different images of these instruments. And why not experiment this conceptual part of getting those images, train a model, and I'm going to press a button, and there is the new musical fantastic instrument that will be more popular than the guitar, the acoustic guitar, for example.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I know that. But so I started training with some with my student. My first student that I was advising in the undergraduate the graduation. So we got some image. Here is just a sample, just to present you the process, and you're going to see what happened.
These are the creations.
No. These are the creations. Yeah, I started training with the transfer learning from the images of faces of people, and I trained for a lot of time, and I think it was 2 days training. It's not a lot of time if you consider style and aspects. But due to limitations of GPU and this kind of thing, I was using Google Colab, and then you have to stay active in the browser because then you get kicked off. So I got these results, but the point was not the result itself, was this intermediate stage here. This thing here starts to be grabbing my attention. This is a face. This is an entanglement of wood. What is that? I started to get very attracted to the intermediate stage of the training. It's just a feedback thing that they produce there. You can actually remove this step of generating the sample of that epoch, of that K image. So, yeah.
Why did you choose to do transfer learning?
Sorry?
Why did you choose to do transfer learning and not just train it from scratch?
Yeah, that was I trained from scratch. I'm going to show you some of the training from scratch, but they came from a random red, green, and blue thing that was not representative. And I'm just trying to actually the transfer learning, use transfer learning to diminish the time. I was taking a lot of time to converge. And as soon as you get the already pre-trained model, you can jump some steps ahead because the concept of color and this kind of thing, it's already defined. But then I forgot about instruments.
Sorry, just to maybe for me and Rudy to understand, you train your architecture, the model onto the instruments,
Yeah.
disposal instruments, and after you apply to generate faces.
No. I'll explain the process. The next experiment. It's already with all the things. I'm going to show you, then it will be clear right now. So the second experiment was using StyleGAN to ADA, image of Ernest Haeckel, that I'm in love of. The Kunstformen der Natur is a book from the beginning of the century that was just got the public domain in 2008, I think, or around it. It was from this fellow there, Ernst Haeckel, was illustrator of these beautiful, fantastic images that got my attention. And I was experimenting with instruments. I didn't like the result of the instruments, so I'm not going in that direction. I'm just going to the image that I like, and imagine I would press a button and I would have a new illustration of Hackle and how Hackle is alive. Oh my God. So I got the image from Hackle. There was this database already cleaned, and then I just put there some other image that wasn't there. Create this database. These are some sample, and it started doing directly, not using transfer learning to accelerate the process. That was the first epoch in the training. So not that. Well, I can produce it with P5. It's better to use P5. And you start converging, and then you have some, after I think was 2040K images, they converge. And then here are the real ones and the fake ones. And the real ones in Zoom and the fake ones. And you can see that it's already generalized some of the concepts of, but I had this impression that was a little bit of overfitting because it was so similar to the original image. I tried to remove some of the images in gray scale, you know, just, and then let's go to the transfer learning, because the transfer learning will be much faster, and then I can experiment, I can reduce the time and effort to achieve the result. Then I start using the FFHQ database and start training. And then this thing appeared, and this thing appeared. And I got fascinated by this deterioration, this subversion of the process itself. It's garbage doing the process. StyleGAN is for augmenting database of images that are not so representative, for example, for a very rare case of cancer, for example. And StyleGAN can increase the number of images that look like the original set of images. So this stage here is not that interesting for StyleGAN. For the result of optimization, blah, 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 blah. But it's a very important detail. Each image is just an example, because this is a latent space of 512 dimensions. Each image there is 512 dimensions. It's a vector of 512 dimensions. The latent vector. Yeah, the representation in the latent space. And that's actually, I started to study it more. Now you have the W space, and then you have the Z space, and I'm trying to understand that better. And my student got quite excited about the exploration of latent space. So you navigate between this huge space. And how can you give a sense of the exploration? How can the machine help me doing this exploration? So I think I have some of the interfaces here. I put in a different order. So you have, we use a very, very simple and old technique of generative algorithm, interactive generative algorithm. It's something that is there from the 80s. And we consider that each vector is the DNA of the image. And you could give different weights for image that you like. So that weight would consider that for the next generation, the chance of survival of that specimen, that individual, was higher. So you could test, and you could give some weights, and then I came with this series here. I really like the some part of the red part of it, and then I start giving some weights to that, and then I created this series. It's interesting because if you change a small amount of this one number of this 512 dimensions, just change one dimension, you could perceive some difference or not. It's not guaranteed that everything that you change, and you do not have control. For example, for faces, there are some of these numbers that can open your mouth in the Latin space, but can also make your eye disappear. So it's not that it's everything connected. And there are some explorations of Khan space, for example, use PCA, a principal component analysis, if I'm not wrong, to define what are the principal components of these 512 dimensions, and could explore more like that. But our approach was so simple. It's just using generative algorithm to help explore this image. And then we create this, just let me show you here. Where's my mouse? This is an artist that just talked to me. He's very restricted. He doesn't like to talk in public, and I'm his spokesperson. Bashka Fufenhak. And all the pieces here it's an exhibition of the exploration of this particular artist. Yeah.
But sorry, so this is no more Gan. This is the artist. Right?
This is
You did with.
no, this is Gan.
Okay,
This is the artist became an abstraction of a partnership between myself and the style again, trained with the.
Já criar um pseudo.
It's important to have this. Just
Really for minting.
yeah, really ready for meeting. It's already being exposed in a gallery in Recife, and also in the NFT world already being minted in the platform that I was talking to Philippe, that inclusive.com. That's a platform of NFTs there. And imagine that the Latin space is huge. You can produce a bunch of those images, but we are dealing with the artistic world that maybe the rarity it matters or not, or I don't know. But just to show some other experiments, we are actually Jordan and I are organizing the computational creativity discipline in the computer science department, not department anymore, but the center of Centro Informática, and we are trying to make it available for the students, the things that we can actually experiment with Google Colab, and then to broaden the possible exploration that we have. And here are some examples with this other conjunction of two different networks. That's a VQGAN and the CLIP. CLIP is to condition some of the image through text, and VQGAN is to generate the image. So you have the input and you have an output image. So the input here, for example, was Recife, where the Capibaribe and Beberibe rivers meet to form the Atlantic Ocean.
Sem internal joke.
it's an internal joke and it's a megalomany of Recife that the two rivers we have, that they created this big ocean that we have because of it. So that's it's,
like the New Yorker, Manhattan, the rest of the
yeah.
world. Recife.
Yeah, Recife is the biggest, smallest. How do you say it in English? No. Recife created Manhattan. You know that?
This is true.
This is true. Yes, it's definitely true. The Jews from Recife went to Manhattan to form the city. So you know the connection.
It's
Recife to the world. So
less for the New Yorker magazine to the specialist.
So I just show you some of the experience here. So I just put the string computational creativity, and the model starts generating some of the images with the input of the text input. You can see some very creative motifs there, like the colors, and you can have different seeds and different configurations. But as soon as you have creativity, I saw a lot of colorful and lamp-shaped, like light bulbs. Yeah.
Creativity.
Yeah. And this is the last one here for computation creativity again. Colorful. Computation always a computer or Photoshop or this kind of and just a series that was in to make a homenagem homage to my cat. That's Reginaldo, the name of my cat, and he was very little and fluffy, but was a devil in the house. So I created this series just to show you. This is the answer was my cat's a fluff devil. You can see the elements of fluffiness and the devilty over there. This was using the ImageNet database. This one was using WikiArt and a fluffy devil cat in style of Picasso. And a fluffy devil cat in style of pizza. Just entering the and style of watercolor. And the very end, Pollock, Picasso style with different seeds and this kind of thing. You can see there are some elements that are replicated, but it was just a stimulus to this sentence. And now Joseph, agora José is a.
It's a very famous poem of the best Brazilian poet. It's Drummond. Agora José.
So I've been working with this discussion about the use of these tools, these creative tools, inside the process of some artists in Recife, some visual artists in Recife. And we started discussing what would be the next step. It's easy to produce this image step. So where will be the next inflection point of using those technologies. I don't know the answer, but I think it's very rich for our discussion here. And reading just this paper from this Adobe researcher, Aaron Hudson, Can Computers Create Art? It was the text that I was trying to formulate before actually getting the text. That the importance of photography, not the importance is already a judgment, but the existence of photography to the visual arts and what came after photography. Because with photography, you just change the way you represent reality. And some of the painters that was experiment, for example, Da Vinci was studying the body and the muscles and the skin and the light to produce better results. Now with one click, you can get that. I'm abusing the wording, okay? One clicking. What were the impacts of photography to visual arts, and what will be the impact we will have in music with some of the process that we are experiencing? What are the changes that will provoke? It's one of the first photograph took in France. Not the name of Saône-et-Loire, Bourgogne. O Nicéphore Niepce in 1827. It was using a technique that you had to expose to this camera obscura for 8 hours to see something. That's why the portrait, the image here gets the sun illuminated from both sides, because it took so long. And it was a proof of concept. But then the first artifact was the daguerreotype. It was an artifact made in commercial way, commercial availability, but it was too expensive to use. And this is I was looking at that. It was this image of Recife in 851. You know, Recife always playing this important. You know, the Mayans, the Aztecs was already there, but I just got interested. I wasn't looking for a daguerreotype of Recife. It was there in the Wikipedia. It wasn't my fault there. But it's part of an expedition in Brazil that the name of the guy was Charles de Forest Fredericks.
Yeah, there were Debray, there were painters, there were
during the Empire.
And botanists.
Yeah. So there was this expedition, and we used this very high technology there and back in time, and now we have it in our pockets, a very a much more powerful. So I got some questions here that is in red that I'm not sure that. What are the next steps of the experiments we are doing, and how can it interfere? And I didn't mention, I just forgot to mention, but in some parts of the paper that Can Computer Create Art, he mentions that he believes that there wouldn't be modernism, cubism, and expressionism without the photography. But what's the main point here? You have adjacent possible, that's the photography, that interferes in some process that already existed. So the producing, the paintings and all the process of painting reality. You open all the, in that same expression, you open other ways of expression, for cubisms and everything, but you create also a new language with that artifact. One is side effect, and the other one, it's opens a new world of exploration, of creative exploration. And then after we have the cinema and you have movies, you create language, you now can control the view of the spectator, you can give nuances of narrative art with image. How can we project those reflections to the things that we are doing right now? What are the interfaces that are going to expand the exploration, and what are the new kinds of things that we have? I made this draft here. New technology, adjacent possibles, new uses, new expressive uses. Then you have champions, gurus, evangelists, and then you have the repertoire and the compositions and the examples, and then you have newcomers, and then you have the community. All of that may be generating the new expressive use, generating new genres, new languages, new ways of expressing. So it's a network of things that would expand with the one, maybe one point that is easy to generate ideas, easy to realize ideas, and easy to, it's available for you to appropriate. And the thing that was mentioned about subversion was how can we use the things that we are supposed to use in a completely different way. So we can open up different possibilities of expression, different possibilities of use. So popularization and availability. I can see that some of the things that we are discussing here can be developed in GPUs and kind of thing. And the role that Google Colab plays in that popularization of GPUs. It's not for everybody. I don't have GPU in my computer, at least if I have it, it's not that powerful. But with $10 if you translate. $10 you can have access to some of the computers from Google Colab, and then you can open up. I brought here some very fragments of ideas. I don't know if you know, if you already use the GitHub Copilot and the OpenAI GPT-3 codex and GPT-3. It's like dealing with an alien. You have to understand what's the best way to ask something for the computer to generate code or text. So I think that it's a challenge to think about interfaces that we are not doing a manipulation of symbols simply like a syntax of a programming language. We now have to deal with an agent that understands natural language, natural language process, the natural language, and you have to explain to a creative agent, create some kind of code. Then you have to specify how it will be this interaction with this agent through natural language. How can we go beyond mouse, keyboard, touch screen? How can we use our body to communicate? Not this funnel that is the interaction with the keyboard. It's nice. We get used to it. For me, it's faster to type something than to write the things for them, because everything will be digitalized. So I have a bunch of questions here. Maybe it's not supposed to open up those questions, but it will be for next years.
How many pages?
I have an exercise that 101 questions to reach the 101 questions for this area of search of co-creative human computer co-creativity, and how will be the next steps for that. But I won't go further. You've seen the slides there. And just to mention another point that is maybe a little bit disconnected with the whole idea here, but I mentioned some, is the idea of this paper that we published in 2021, this year, Gambiarra and Techno-Vernacular Creativity in NIME Research. Gambiarra is a very famous concept here in Brazil. We have different concepts all over the place. I don't know in French.
C'est proche du bricolage, quoi. Comment on bricole un truc, un truc qui était, c'est pas tout à fait techniquement correct, mais bon, ça marche.
It's doing things with what you have available. It's not waiting for some special thing to come. And no, we just explore the things that you have available. And some of the projects that I presented here was guided by this principle of scarcity. And this can be a constraint, a powerful creative constraint to produce new ideas. And we just got Pamela Z Innovation Award for this paper due to this discussion about new perspectives of NIME research, not only thinking about going the direction of expensive sensors and but what can you do that is already expressive, but it's with the tools we have available. Well, in Brazil, it's easy to be scarce in some of those things, and just to buy some sensor, for example, from Canada, I did this experience, and I was desperate about the little pogo pins, string loaded pins to Probasio, that's made of gold and that kind of thing. But it took 2 months, and as soon as it arrived to the customs, I had to pay, I think, double the price because, well, it was a nightmare. So going the direction that you can do things with the things that you have here available. Well, the last part of the presentation was a little bit disconnected, but it was just to stimulate the discussion. This is actually my last slide, and then I would be quite happy to receive the because it's
Thanks a lot, Philippe, for being
So
courageous.
So creative, yeah.
courageous.
Yeah, yeah. So nice. Yes.
Yes, super. Quite a bit of comments and reactions to your content. It's awesome. It turns out I didn't know that for the UFT right? And she was the interaction and person. And your work in digital literacy is very nice. One thought is that I think, do you know the Gertman? You should use it.
Yeah, Marcelo always say that, go for it.
Marcelo saying.
Yeah, he was part of the committee back in 2016. I think I have to, with this version of Probas right now, maybe.
Yeah. Shameless plugging, you gotta go on the website and go to those booths right now. It's a good edition this year. But yeah, so that's really great. So there was no music AI there, but a lot of the modular system and for music AI and for creative AI, what we mean to have a modular system. And it turns out that that's what is going on right now quite a lot in the field where with runway ML, mimic, all those projects mimic for music, with runway ML in general, looking at how can we put in creative people to systems so that you're not blocked just using one system, you can like make pipelines and arrangements.
In an easy way.
Yeah, and what is it going to mean for us to teach our students and to approach the field, like whether or not you can be an extremely powerful computer scientist that can deal with them.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an incredible there. Then the COVID happened, and it totally preclude you to work with people and person because you don't have the right to because contact people. So you went down the Skype and rabbit hole, and like hundreds and thousands, maybe more even, artists out there. But I like the work. I see this is great. You should take it seriously because you might make more money and more resources and sharing more interest with this solution and with everything you've done so far.
Yeah.
So you can take it seriously. I think it's really talented. And then it's very scary. It's a scary part when you present it, where you really make a great artwork with one click.
Sorry.
You can really make a great artwork with one click.
Yes.
You said that sometime, right? And it's scary. And that's exactly the same fear that I have with composers and you can make an individual song in one click.
Yes.
Which is, for example, 2 hours of time, and it will be often as good as the videos. Michael Jackson, Samuel, what is it? For composition composers. It's going to push the film in a different direction for sure. And then you mentioned you were wondering, what would be the future of this work?
What would the impact? What other process would emerge from this one-click thing? But it's the same thing as photography, the same thing as the composers, the beautiful image that you presented yesterday.
Exactly. And so I think we are at a point in time where it's really hard to predict what because it's moving very fast, it's super powerful, and it's really hard to predict. And we become users of this system. We are probably all like everyone is going out there, and it's fun for
Yeah.
That situation. The future work, one thing that I know in my lab, I have some students presenting visual, but really as well. And what we're doing now is moving from still images, which is so saturated in space,
Yes.
to moving images.
Yeah.
And moving images is not just a competition because it's not work. Right? And so one thing that we're doing, I don't know if that's an inspiration to you, but we're making video. I didn't show that that we're making a lot of video and music videos. Music mapping musical gesture into the latent.
Nice.
Right? So you can use music, you can see about movement and body.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. So we should be mapping a dancer to the image, like you did map the dancer to sound, right? But what we're doing at least is mapping music into trajectories into the latent space. I'm trying to find the musical gesture and make them visual gestures, right? And try to work on what the network is for free, which and mapping is for free.
Yeah.
Power, which is that each frame, it's really the granularity of that mapping is something that is inhuman. It would not be possible to do because you can't film it. You will have to draw, you will have to have someone drawing frame by frame, like old school, animation, because it's ambitious and visual, it's just inhuman.
Yeah.
And so you got new aesthetics there for sure. That's what we explore now, but I think the idea of mapping movement into the latent space, and for those trajectories there, that makes sense, is a great idea. We work with it. The problem you're gonna have is making it real time, dance in real time.
Yeah.
If you want to really further mapping work that you do with sound, it's massive technological undertaking in terms of forward. So yeah, that's my set of comments and reactions to your presentation. But really beautiful work, and it's not clear to me if it's beautiful that you go to scientists and artists in art, but but I feel that your artistic output is of great interest.
Right. And I think just to mention some of the parts, and I don't have the answer to how can we use those modular, the modular concepts in creative AI? Like how can you use to generate music and stuff? I see a bunch of connections that could be just getting the concept of modular, not the artifact, not probasio, but the concept of modular. How can we change some of the conceptual parts of the networks you say, or how can we model the complexity of the combinations of inputs and outputs in the area itself? I'm being a little bit abstract here, so just I'll be reading a lot about meta design and meta project, and it's a formulation from basically designers in Italy and Brazil. Think about complexity. The answer for complexity is not a tool that will solve all the problems, but a toolbox with different tools that can be combined and can be used to explore or solve some kind of problem. I'm being abstract because the idea is abstract. But when I go to Probasio as a modular interface, I'm dealing with the complexity of combinations of new instruments, new inputs. And I'm as a designer, I'm giving opportunities for the user to appropriate the tools and create their own instance of an instrument. I'm not designing the final instrument. I'm designing the method, and it's the same.
You know WebML, right? So that's what WebML is for creative AI. So WebML is very from your GPU and the aesthetic, and then you got 300 modules.
And then you just, that's fantastic. And that this paper that I just read the paper comparing Google Colab and Runway, and now so it's but here, if our students would want to use the Runway, it will be a bunch of money. And now, as I mentioned in the before, with this Gambiarra style, to think about the restrictions, our students are creating 5 different Google accounts, so they can use the Google Colab without losing it, and producing, for example, custom pre-trained, because if one account is banned, you can get the Pico file or the PTH file to resume the training. So it's a how do you say? Guerrilla way of using those tools. RunML is perfect, fantastic, but it will be out of our budgets for exploration. And I hope that soon NFT world would finance the artists so they can actually get the resources to invest in that kind of thing. But in the beginning, it's difficult for us to explore this.
Well, and if you want some privacy solutions, we can talk to Gene and these are events to access and all that. But Gilbert was talking about ethics and AI yesterday and has been moving in that direction. AI is going to be a strong inequality increase inequality. This is something we already talked about it right now.
Yeah.
In the hiring, this is going to be a part of the and stuff, etc., etc. So it's becoming already a barrier. It's really important. Now we are offering there will be free versions.
Yes.
Open source versions of and maybe free versions. So if you don't have money, use maybe an explore this project for both things. You can there, and it's mostly for music. It's a fantastic toolbox for putting together musical modules with feature extractions and machine learning and generative algorithm PLC. You can, it's made for fast prototyping, break it down in logical,
Yeah.
fast prototyping instruments in the digital world. It's super extra for food industry. So I recommend that.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be communities of people thinking like you, and also reaching the artists to that money. Unless we will get paid to the next year. So
The solution.
Thank you. I just would like to say that François Rocher is watching you and us, and he asked for making a question.
Oh my God. The questions of François. Why do you do that?
Calm.
Put the COVID picture.
And so he's not quite informed to enter the call, but ask you, where did you know the concept of possible atoms? Where it came from, and was apparently it's something that came from physics, and how this went to the design.
The concept was popularized by Stephen Johnson in a book, How Do Ideas Came From. It's a very popular book that talked about possible agents. I think agents in English, adjacent possible. But it's a very strong concept. It's something that we should take into consideration, mainly because we are dealing with technology, and it's one of the main. It's like opening portals, gates, not portals. The opening gates that expand our possible ways of exploring things. So the author gives the example of the surf and the skateboards and the pools from California, and how the pools from the abandoned houses in California allowed for, it's a network of things that will move. Really nice.
Next one.
I have a really simple question, but more on the, let's say, the business aspect of what you're doing. Did you make a survey of I don't know, that's already modular system exists in the market, and what is your, let's say, your position for this?
There's I have the presentation of my defense thesis, but there's a sweet spot in the broad analysis that I did with all these modular, tangible interfaces. For sound synthesis, we have this concept of modular interface, and then you have also the Max MSP, if you go in the direction that they are modules that can be connected. But the sweet spot was the balance between structural and the structural approach and the easy of connection. Like how can you?
But I wanted to on the hardware aspect. I don't know if Roland or Yamaha or are working, or Akai are working in this field or not. I don't know.
Oh no, that in this analysis that I did, I brought a lot of hardwares and from existing instruments. There are some teenage engineering stuff, and the thing is that they also always thought about tabletop interfaces that will be here, or something that will be well.
And my question is, did you plan to contact these guys?
No.
And when?
That's a big question. I have two professors here that are from innovation,
Yeah.
and would be they already make this discussion about that. But is the thing of diving into one project that drives me crazy, because I know some people that from Soundbrainer, for example, and they do not do anything else.
Yes, but maybe, I don't know. I was thinking about, for example, the example of the DX7 in the 90s.
Yeah. That was licensed and
It
just
was licensed from,
funded.
from a researcher
Yeah.
from
John Chorley.
yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you can, you could, I don't know, work with, I don't know, the mouse, not to work specifically
Yeah,
on
just
the
license.
to give a license.
Yeah, it's a fantastic idea. It would be quite nice because we get the money to do all the things.
Exactly.
I was talking with Jebe and Jordan just to
But I know this is not your idea, your DNA, because you are researchers, of course.
yeah.
It's not-
No,
It's
but
already open source.
Yes, I know. No, it's
Yeah.
not exactly open source, in fact. Your modular hardware is not going to be open source today.
no, it's not open source.
Yes.
It's
No,
because of NC. If you remove the NC, the
Yeah.
non-commercial, it will become open source. The
Don't lose the opportunity to make money. This is not a real franchise, but
yeah, it's a good reflection. Right?
No question or comments. François, we miss you. We are happy that you are connected. I hope you are better. François got COVID, so it was so. François, if you like to say something, but just no.
Is that-
Okay.
Maybe from you too.
Yeah, I think this is watching by
You too. But François, just I guess in case you have the yes.
En fait, je voulais demander si vous voulez entrer à streamer, il a dit que les parts
Je comprends.
peut-être.
I understand.
But I have just a thing about maybe the niche of the music technology is it's so small that even it's a project that calls attention but it's not. Maybe I'm being naive, but it's not that demanding for something. I don't know. Maybe it's-
And Francois answered, thank you, I miss you too, I'm in my bed.
Thank you to you, François, for being present, even if still very, very sick. We miss you. We're very glad you participate, and this workshop is very stimulating. So we have to discuss more with you as soon as possible. Please.
Yes, yeah, François, you will get better and don't take some lost nebulizer. A more critical point that I wanted is, you didn't talk about music AI, which
Yeah.
is a game, which is nice, music AI.
Yeah, that's the
And we went to analog and what the camera report is interesting, it's fascinating for everyone. It's also maybe a diversion, right? And I think the original work is switching to something that is very fundamental. I've been to Brazil before, but here in Rio, I started to understand a little bit more that the analog embodied nature and the cultural relationship with culture that is happening here in Brazil make that it's not really necessarily computer music and creative AI and music AI that you guys want. And I think what you have is modular interface which is physical. When Jibber was saying, hey, composers we talk to here, we're really not interested because generative system on computers, maybe they would be interested in musicians here to play with instruments push down that road, not necessarily for commercialization, but for research with real musicians, really talented people, and a lot of them apparently, and go that road. And a little bit maybe the fact that Japan got, with the other generation, maybe they would be more excited. Actually do that. We started doing that, but I think it's even the amount quantity of competition here, there's supposed to be things to do, and I would love a band, to come out and play with a bunch of those different instruments that they invented themselves, doing rehearsal, exchanging ideas, and eventually might be something we speak, and maybe a new instrument will emerge from those practices.
From that,
I think you get something richer that will fit with the Brazilian culture way more than anything else. So
Wanted to talk about
Great.
aesthesia.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Great.
we have this community in or small community in Recife that we experiment with these DMIs, not necessarily with Cabas. Cabas is a tool, one of the tools that we have. Jiromi is another tool, and aesthesia is one of the. It's an experimentation group, but it's more like if they know that I'm saying that they are a band, they would be fighting that. But it's a group that are doing a lot of different experimentation with technology and audience participation and interactive lighting and sound synthesizing and something. And they used a lot of our stuff already to produce and to perform. They are in the pandemic just but they're returning right now, and we are already with this planning of.
And the difficult part is that was the singers participating in the voices of you, so we don't know. We come back.
So we get famous and.
But just to I completely agree with you, Lucy. In fact, I know your work, of course, but for example, when I was listening to Elder and João, the percussionist, one thing really about more, perhaps you could do a bet towards percussion, for example. Since you have this huge tradition of percussion. And okay, and try to not just an emerging thing, but try to induce something in this direction. And then perhaps you could have really, because this made a lot of difference of just experimenting with technology when you can establish a link, a strong link with local culture, and you have something to say that other people will not say just because you have different rhythmic styles and you have all these different kind of filters that you can use, and then you can really create different songs and different music experience that you probably have a more impact because you have this junction between
local culture,
and then technology.
Yeah.
I think that's a path that's clear from your work that happened perhaps by chance, but from now, José, you can perhaps push more on this direction.
And that was one very strong point of the paper, Gambiarra and Techno-Vernacular. Techno-Vernacular is experimentation locally, so creativity, Techno-Vernacular creativity. And we are actually organizing this network of Latin American researchers in NIME. We have more or less 50 people already engaged in trying to expand. To think about the identity, the importance of local identities in producing new devices and so on.
But I'm not thinking is important, but doing is very important. And I think in this case, especially if I think about what John said yesterday when we talked to Carlos Brown, we really need to push to have products, something that's in the sense of musical results that are musically interesting. Perhaps have some songs that were made by a band with this kind of crazy formation, a lot of instruments like this, or mixed with traditional percussion instrument. You have some YouTube thing that can
run.
Yes, because one of the you know about this discussion, but one of the bottlenecks on the adoption of nine is that you don't have you have the repertoire, you don't have this repertoire, the songs, you don't have the musicians that are enough trained to do these things. So it's hard because why you decide to play guitar? Okay, you saw David Gilmour and you say, I want to be David Gilmour. So you study guitar because you know like the song, have the guys. When you know nine, then you go to this conference and people present things, but okay, this doesn't excite me to start working hours to master an instrument. So this cultural bottleneck is perhaps important, and not only the technical stuff, because technically we are already ready to do very, very interesting things, but what kind of things you can do with this instrument?
Yeah.
And I think it's an important thing to, this final rendering should be good in order to push people to adopt this kind of thing.
Yeah. And if we can connect to the presentation of Jordan is thinking about the adoption, and there is this micro cycles inside adoption. How can we make the interface or the system engaging, and what are the parts what activities that we are going to map? So it's quite interesting in the whole picture. Yeah.
How to bootstrap?
How to bootstrap, yeah.
Make something which generates a result that.
And it will be an emergent process.
And bootstrap, and it's like the more the user becomes more expert, he's still, it doesn't say, oh wow, it's more interesting because it doesn't.
Yeah,
okay, I was motivated in the start, but then somehow it doesn't fill my expectation.
Yeah.
So that's a crucial, and then it could become the early, not adopter, but disadopter.
That tractor. Giordano mentioned that tractor.
Exactly.
And getting back to the some discussion we had yesterday, in fact, one way of simple the system is because you got this pool of fantastic musicians and other instruments, organic, embedded, body relationship with those instruments, it's going to be hard for them to develop completely new interfaces. So the same way that in digital world, it's a good idea to blend existing tools. If you find a way to appear to with existing tools, someone has been an instrument for 10 years, you add functionality to those instruments, several different functionalities. If there's one functionality that doesn't like, they're going to love it, right? And then you can have a good option. Sure.
Here's more a provocation to this community than to you. I know Philippe for a long time, and Philippe was not from the AI community in the beginning. And in fact, I remember when we started discussing your interest in this computational creativity domain, that it's really powerful if we have devices like this, which are intelligent. You can make, it's not only reacting, but actually with intelligence in that. So this, I think, pushes Philippe in the last years to understand machine learning and all this stuff. And I think this is really, really powerful to join forces. So for everybody here following this, I think it's a great opportunity to have another way of exploring deep learning music generation, for example, through interfaces.
And just remember.
Yeah, because it is in the direction of what Philip was talking about. We have this project of DLL. DLL is augmented guitar, acoustic guitar.
I don't know where to put the.
That was trying to mix this competence of DMIs with MIR in the beginning. But it's not creating new stuff.
Starts for create. Oh,
Yeah.
But we already have this project to join MIR and DMIs with two of our capabilities. So I think we actually can have great projects if we join forces, like using some of your systems, like inside a new instrument. I think it can be
Yeah,
very
as
powerful.
you already have in the OpenZ.
Yeah, with the OPZ, yeah, with the synthesizer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in your case, you could have, because you have sensors, you could also have actuators, percussion instruments, then it could be a collaboration on the instrument, between the instruments, and
Yeah, it would be fantastic.
it's the same for you, because you can really think of more interactive things that can be triggered and
The triggers are physical.
in this case, the trigger are physical.
Yeah, I just brought a simple joystick just to show you I just forgot. It's in the house. But
You have
three
to go
dimensions, you have rotation, you have the normal axis, X and Y, and then you have the rotation and what. And it's so simple, it's just a control for cameras, to snap the camera, and the musicians use it, our partners in anesthesia, and just got, man, this doesn't exist as a MIDI device. It's a very simple thing to do. And using two of them, you can control a bunch of parameters at the same time, with the same effort. You don't have to shift to another screen, but you're there exploring this space of possibilities, of parameters possibility. I was thinking about more in that sense when what those interfaces could expand our possible combinations of different parameters at the same time you're navigating there. Looks like that three-dimensional 3D connection with, I remember the name of the mouse, 3D mouse. Yes.
I see it's transparent. Just a completely different country. The girls, I'm a speaker for a living, and like those techniques are getting a download spec for like the last 2 hours.
Yeah, Ahami?
Like the numbers in the
It's a hum.
Yeah, it's Ahami. I think it's my computer's name.
Não sei, eu acho
Talvez
que aparentemente
tem um
o cabo-
cabo P10, o cabo P10 que eu usei pro violão não tá aí, não pode.
É aqui, tem.
É isso.
C'est le parallèle. GBR, c'est le parallèle, c'est.
É o cabo de
Il y a ce bruit de masse. Ouais, qui n'a rien à faire.
Não é aqui não, é só naquele lugar.
Oh, I think there's no, don't worry.
É no cabo do talvez um simples ajuste.
É aqui, ó. Barulho?
Não, naquele dali.
O cabo que tem na.
Is this one?
Il est encore le président.
My friend.
Tu as raison, c'est pas un peu.
Mais d'abord,
il était là. Alors, peut-être que c'est le quand on avait testé Sydney, depuis, je sais pas. C'est pas le plan de descente.
Anyway, I just had
Il y a juste un petit bruit, mais il y a l'autre.
C'est un ventilateur.
Proche. C'est un grand.
a quick comment about scarcity and the design space. Actually, in art, in the history of art, or even in science and computer science, I won't get into various examples, but yeah, well, there has been not great discoveries exactly because of scarcity constraints. So actually, and also, on the other hand, there are some labs which are full of money. I won't name some, but and they do some very shiny things, but actually there's almost no contents because they're using exactly all the technology. So continue, and this is great. You are exploring actually some niche exactly that most of the other researchers teams are not just because of scarcity, of course, but somehow it's use it as a force, and not just as a constraint. You already,
Thanks.
just a comment.
Thank you.
And maybe we should stop here. And we have Carlos Arana, who's from Buenos Aires, who I said was both musician, just would like to, because I propose all the participants to participate, not here to. So he has some. He just sent me information that he has some commitments from one. So I propose there's Cadu also, but I propose to let there is Mateus, but I propose to let Carlos to participate. If Carlos you are around, we could experiences.
O Carlos Arana vai apresentar?
Carlos Arana, yes. Is he connected? Yes, we should do here, Carlos. Okay, perfect. So please. So Carlos Arana is professor at the University of Buenos Aires.
Eu boto por aqui.
I don't remember which department of school, but anyway, it doesn't matter. You're also a musician, you're also a guitarist, you're also an educator. You know about, you also teach at Berkeley School of Music, famous, and you're a specialist about Brazilian guitar. And I see a bass. I see a bass. Yeah. So please, it would be great feel free to speak, to tell about your to play about your.
Yes, thanks. There's my guitar, but my bass, but I play guitar, my main instrument. So, well, I'm very happy. Let me know if you're hearing me. Thumbs up. Yeah, well, great. Because I'm not hearing nothing from the audience, I think it's because of feedback issues, and that's right. So, well, I'm very pleased to be here. I will do my best effort for being short, not to, because I appreciate that you let me jump in. I have some stuff at 1 p.m. So, well, here's my contribution here. I want to continue. I don't know if Giordano is there at the audience. Yeah, man, yeah. I want to continue with that. I think it's one of the most fruitful and rich debates that he opened yesterday, considering all his and our experience in dealing in sharing our lives with musicians. I've been playing professionally for 30 years. I'm also an engineer dedicated to artificial intelligence, and also I will let you know briefly about myself now in a minute. and I'm going to focus on that because I think that's the I think it's the most important place to discuss, because it's going to be tough for us that we love this and we are passionate about this to convince the musical community about all the broad possibilities that we can open with artificial intelligence, because it's rejected by them naturally because they think they are feared that they're going to take the place of their work. So I think it's going to be absolutely important to try to focus this from different places. If we want to make all this stuff, my Bible, to be to be applied. So well, I will jump into my let me share some stuff. I'm going to, yes, I think I'm allowed to share. Can you see? Yes. Compartir. This is my work. I want to be really I want to go really fast. I think this is a very good possibility of convincing or adding something to the musical community. So let's go in. This is my project to develop a music education framework based on generative neural networks. And how this is go. This is myself. I'm very connected to this workshop because I work in the analog of the UFRJ. This is the University of Buenos Aires. Also work in the UCA, this the PUC from Buenos Aires, Pontificia Universidad Católica Argentina. And I also work, as you will know, I'm completely connected with Brazilian culture. I lived in Brazil. I worked a lot for years. And actually, I'm teaching Brazilian guitar here at the Brazilian embassy in Argentina. I teach the courses of Brazilian guitar. You will know later more about this. I'm also a professor of computer for musicians, computer for programming for musicians at Berkeley Online. I teach from Buenos Aires, but I'm a professor I'm a faculty member from the Berkeley Online at Boston. This is my general inspiration. I'm working upon this concept of audiation. Audiation is the equivalent of thinking in language. I would stop sharing, but I don't know how to do it. Okay, so let's go. I wanted to show you what this is all about. The audiation is what every big popular artist, ranging from John Coltrane going to Miles Davis, or for George Benson, or in Brazil João Gilberto, tons here in Argentina, Carlos Gardel, Luis Salinas, our greatest, most of the greatest artists in popular music. I'm completely restricted to popular music. Most of the biggest musicians in popular music learn in the streets, learn interchanging experiences with other musicians. They play by ear, but not just by ear, because they learned as a language. They learned in real life situations. That's the main concept of audiation. It's the same process as you learn a language. That's my main focus. That's how I learned Brazilian music. I then worked for Hal Leonard, and they instructed me to prepare to work over I transcribed the whole Getz Gilberto record, the complete score, and then with all that knowledge and transcribing the whole John Gilberto frame of songs from his records, I developed this bossa nova guitar method for them, where I structured all the knowledge I gained playing with popular musicians in Brazil, where I was living there in Paraty and in Rio de Janeiro, playing with in barzinhos with the real guys. Playing with them, I learned how to do it. So I want to replicate that process of audiation using artificial intelligence and that's why this is what I just told you. I'm working on I want to replace all these traditional methods for something. This is great, but this is all very old fashioned in some, not old fashioned. It's another way of teaching. It's a more formal way. I want to develop a way of teaching that replicates that actual situation where you are interacting with real musicians, crafted musicians, or professional musicians. That's where you really learn how to polish your craft and to be in some sense a real musician. So what I'm doing is I'm doing this with our Argentinian most famous music is the tango. I preparing models of deep learning. So I curate a very big corpus of tango songs, starting from the PDFs. I use Music 21. I promised JP not to go deep into the technical part, so I go rush through this. I curate all the stuff. I took a lot of musical decisions. For instance, transposing all to the same key, not to the 12 keys. I have strong concepts and decisions about this. So I curate 176 songs of tango, 8,100 bars of music, and this is the video and approach. So this is my objective: generating tango using this representation, this particular architecture's challenge to simulate real life situations and to exercise listening skills. And the strategy is first start with recurrent networks, LSTM, and then going to GAN, conditional to the underlying chord progression. That's my work in progress now. And well, the future work is continue the curation of the corpus, incorporating chords. I was deciding which way of analyzing chord progressions I was going to use. For instance, I took this MIDI-net example, but I found they are using very simple, very trivial approach to the chord progressions. So I'm working on a more complex one. This is very analog as Giordano works over Tom Jobim music. I remember that when he exposed that work. So I want to condition all the generation of my tango melodies over this complex harmony also that we use here in our music. And well, I'm working over conditional GANs, and really strong. My strongest part nowadays is the evaluation. I'm working over the objective evaluation, not just kind of Turing tests, subjective. I'm working on objective. I work over this work of Young and Lerch of Georgia Tech. I like the Kullback library divergence, but I'm working best with Jensen. My research is more focused on musical concepts with a different approach, more connected with the actual domain knowledge of this genre. I'm working on these metrics that I never found in this depth in various papers I work upon, and I'm incorporating this another divergence, Jan and Jensen, that is I'm trying to use it as a probabilistic approach, so I can also run significance tests. I'm going really deep to try to emulate a real situation with all of this. I don't know how to stop sharing. Let me see. Here I go. Here I stop sharing. Let me see if I can go back to you guys. Here I am. So that's my main work. I try to emulate real situations with artificial intelligence. I think that this is going to be much. It's going to be more. It's going to be better welcomed by the community because it's something we are contributing to being better musicians, not to in some sense. I know that they don't yet understand all the potential of the co-creation. So I want to convince them in some sense using this possibility that I have been researching for years. So, well, I'm tired of being so summarize all my information so much. This has been a lot of years of working, so I did my best to summarize it. I will really appreciate if you have any feedback or any impressions about my work, and obviously to stay in contact, to work together, or to have some complementary or further feedback on this. So I'm done.
Thank you, Carlos. Are there some questions you have? Comments? Thank you.
Hi, Carlos.
Hi.
You again. I don't know if you're seeing me just behind. And I'm really, it's really part of my interest to mix all the technology with music education. Because I try to have an impact in music education for a long time. And I would like to know about your vision about the what's your approach to music education. For example, here we use a lot of processes by slamming, and the fact that we have three major experience creating music. I don't know if it's exactly the audition that you talk about, but it's more about perception and creation, the perception, and the performance of music, and that the literacy and the skills are like some things that we develop to support this difference. So here in Brazil, we have this huge difference of the class system, and this has an influence in the technology we can develop. So I would like to see when you try to use, for example, generative models for music education, if you have some background thinking about the whole music education approach.
It was very difficult to understand completely because of the connection. I think that you, as far as I understood, you were asking me how do I connect the audiation concept with the actual generative music that technology that I'm working on. That's the question. First of all, maybe it's good to show you what's the actual concept of audiation. For instance, this is what, for instance, a regular musicians do. I can do it, for instance. I can sing what I'm playing, but I'm playing it after. I'm singing it after playing. For instance, but it's absolutely different to sing it first and play. That's really harder. No, not that note. No, I don't, it's really we have a much bigger musical mind that the actual muscle connection that we can make. So there's a lot of muscle memory that we have here, and we can follow it singing, but not the other way around. The other way around is audiation. It's first to think about the music in your musical mind. That is one of the Gardner intelligence, one of the 7 Gardner's intelligence, the musical one. We have a really developed musical mind. And it's very difficult to follow that. That's the audition. That's the biggest artist has. George Benson can't do it the other way around. He can sing whatever thing he might. He can play that stuff that he hears in his mind. Me, no. I play. I play all my licks and stuff over that. You know, that's the difference. That's the concept of audition. So I want to generate a whole framework to train that with tons of exercise and feedback and real-time feedback, so I can emulate that thing where you learn in real life, and it's the same process as you learn to speak. That makes more sense now.
But it's good to. Sorry. I just write down the question in the stream.
Okay. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. This question is: if you see some music education theory approach supporting your research. For him, we use a lot of clasp system from Swanwick. So the question is about your belief supporting your musical education approach. What I see is that I don't actually know the Swanwick, this method, but I have been researching, for instance, lots of ear training and sight reading exercising, where especially ear training. This is a matter of ear training. I think that popular music is popular music expertise is ear training. That's why I always is. So I found that all of that methods are mounted over rules like expert systems. They are very rule based. They are not, tends to be very artificial, the exercises I found there. They lack that musicality from that. You understand me? They sound sometimes not so like actual and real music. They sound. If you want to have that diversity that you need, the main constraint with the methods is that they have that limitation, because they are books or they are CDs used to be, and if it's a software, to have that variety, you have to make rules for them to be. And I think that the possibility of neural networks is to have virtually unlimited quantity of exercising, you know. So that's my my focus on music education, and this kind of music education that is focused on developing that audiation. That the audiation is the most desired quality of or knowledge that every popular music wants, musician wants, because it's to play what you hear. And I didn't found, but maybe there is there, and I'm very looking forward to know it. And I will appreciate Giordano to have some interchange in that sense. Maybe there's something there that might help me and my fellow students. So to gain that kind of knowledge that it's so required and so seeked in some searched in some sense. No? Do I answer your question?
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Just one thing that I was thinking might be useful for you, the system from PUC-Rio.
Yeah. As I told you,
It's doing provide a jazz education system, and it's all open source and a little bit of RAD. There is such a terrific amount of work that has been done there that, again, instead of rebuilding like from scratch once more, I think it's a good idea to try to build on it. We already have grammars and ambition and rules, and aside from pedagogy, it's used by thousands of people learning jazz in the US, a lot of jazz schools and places like that. And it'd be very nice to have another branch of it that is looking at more Brazilian or Latin content, for example.
Unfortunately, I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand nothing, unfortunately. So I will appreciate if it was a question for me to.
The work of Paul Robert Keller, I don't remember the university, but in the US about education and but I think just for this audition, I think the concept I didn't know. So what Philippe was mentioning is more about the kind of the rules, learning the teaching somehow for playing jazz, improvisation, etc. But what you mentioned about audition, I think is very about perception and the capacity of reflecting about perception, the ear, etc. And that's when you show not just playing while you sing, which is very standard, but trying to anticipate some kind of rephrasing. And this is indeed much more difficult. And,
it's absolutely.
So, what if I understand well, what you think it's something, and I guess you're really right, very important, this process of anticipation of what you will play, etc., of improvisation, and not just let your fingers do the work and basically not think about the story that you will try to tell. And that AI at large could help maybe to generate, that's something, if I understood well, try to generate exercise for this kind of training. And I think it's very new to me and very interesting direction that I think nobody is exploring yet.
Yeah. That's why I think that it's going to be absolutely useful in that sense. The people is always from industrial revolution to until today they think that technology is going to take their places. So and also opening again the debate from yesterday. There's a trend in music to be every time simpler. So there's another constraint there. Popular music tends to be simpler. So I also have some kind of mission of opening ears in some sense to the beauty of that music that was made by our idols, all these guys that I mentioned. For so there's a lot of room to work to make this stuff interesting again. All this stuff work again as something to be appreciated, and that is we have to work on the perception part of music. And I think that this is a great tool to work upon, the possibility of generating, in some sense, original music related to that corpus of beautiness that we have. I have more than 200 tango music already in XML. So because I curated, I worked a lot on that, and I have all that beautiness, all that precious, all that gold there that can be replicated in a way of training or developing that the ears to that beautiness, So there's a lot of room to work. So I want to translate that. I'm working in research in the universities I work, and I'm also trying to do it at Berkeley, because it's going to be, I think it's going to be a big contribution to have a lot of these melodies going again to the general public, and if I turn that into a method where you have to replicate that stuff, because you hear so it's going to be great to have that. If you can, I know that we can sing all that stuff inside our musical minds. And I have also been researching a lot about the muscle memory, the melody muscle memory. There's very interesting work that I can share with you guys about. There's also a lot of phrases that are memorized in your fingers. So I don't know. I don't want you to take all the because there's a lot of room to applying this for training better musicians, or not better in the sense that they are, one is better than the other, with more knowledge, with more awareness of all that beauty that we left behind for hearing all the music that we're hearing now. I don't think this better or worse. That was so beautiful that we can bring it back with deep learning, So that's what I'm doing.
You, Carlos, you are very motivated, and this is great to hear you and to see you. Just one little comment is that Giordano, during his master, part of his master project, he worked on the digitation of the chords with some kind of system to try to propose for and he made it into a company, actually, D'accord, was the first, to thinking to minimize, some kind of multi-criteria optimization, trying to minimize the movement of too many fingers, trying to optimize the bass line, etc., with chromatism, etc. So very interesting work a while ago, and I just mentioned it. But I have also not a question, but some. I'm completely aligned with François Bachet. Would like to hear some of the tango.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm working on. I want to show you that, and that's what I'm working on. I'm trying to figure out why this generation is different from the corpus, and I'm trying to see what hyperparameters are doing that I have more quarter notes or whatever. This is a very, very I'm working upon this. It's without chord progression.
I saw that you work.
Yes. I'm going to show you that stuff. I'm proud of what I did without taking any of your courses that I'm always asking you, Jean-Pierre, to that I want to go to your courses to learn. I learned all by myself. So here's what I did. Let me show you. Let me share with you.
Make us hear some of the tango music that you generated.
Yes. Let me share with you. I'm going to go here. I'm sharing. I think I'm sharing. And here, for instance, is one of my no, from here.
See the score, but we cannot hear.
Not hearing.
Maybe I know
You are not hearing it.
It's difficult. It's not obvious to send the sound to the computer. Maybe if you open your mic, it will make an echo.
Okay. So
make your loudspeaker of your laptop, and we could hear through the mic.
Yes. I'm going to do that. I'm going to play it from my computer. Oh, I'm sorry. Stop. So I'm going to play it from another. You are hearing me? Thumbs up. Now you're hearing me. Okay. So I'm going to do it from another computer. So the laptop mic is going to be taking it. Let me see. Workshop. This is some. So that's one of them, and then it's interesting that I'm working on, for instance, trying to see. Oh, let me see this stuff here. There's another one. All right, let me see. Whatever. So there's a lot of room to work. That was done without just LSTM with different stuff. Without my main thing, that is conditioning. I want to condition because if not, there's a lot of. I can tell that the model is trying to get some pattern in where there's so much richness in terms of core progressions going down there. So I working now and having some mode collapse with the GANs with the conditioning. So I have to work on the conditioning, but there's not so many people down here that can help me in that sense. So again, I'm really open to some contribution because there's and now I haven't been working with this for 6 months. I have been very busy with Berkeley stuff. So well, it's a work in progress, but from the very. But something interesting is that I'm working over this objective metrics, trying to maintain, for instance, the range of nodes inside the bar. I'm working on the divergence between the corpus and my generating stuff. I'm really concerned to generate something that sounds real to the ear of in terms of the genre, of the style of tango music. So there's
it's a lot, Carlos. Congratulations. It's it's a very good good start, and it's interesting the type of melody which is not so so common. I mean, more common for tango, but I'm not a tango expert, and I know a bit of the basics. But
there's a lot of
not just as you said during tests, subjective metrics by human, but also you have the metrics which are completely independent of the domain, tango, whatever, precision, etc. But it's interesting. I think we need to
because there's
some more domain dependent
mm-hmm.
to see what. We'll keep in touch and try to send you some information and let's interact. But I really appreciate your dedication and your participation to the workshop, even remote, and that you are continuing. That's great. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks.
And are there some more comments or questions? So maybe it's 12 o'clock. So maybe we should go for lunch, I think. Yeah. And just and I know you're busy from 1 o'clock, Carlos. I don't know if you'll be able to. So I think we'll make a lunch break now. And this afternoon, there will be a talk by Carlos Eduardo. Thank you for all his timing. Also, Mateus will show us about his own experience. And then we will save some time for doing some kind of wrap-up and a summary that we discussed yesterday evening. After, yes.
Just before Carlos leaving, it's really, I would like just to share the contact of
yes,
of everybody for us to keep in contact.
Yes, sure.
I just asked Jean-Pierre to share our contacts so we can keep in touch.
Of course, but actually I put on the participant list the web page, and that I will share the email, etc. Of course. So thanks a lot, Carlos. Thanks, Philippe also. Of course, this was a great review. And so we'll restart and with two presentations, two questions and experience, etc. And try to. So what Jean-Pierre proposed, and but it's open to discussion, is to have three kinds of axes. The first one would be the task that Giordano proposed. What are the
should be
the tasks
subject
in the
yes, let's say,
I think
transversal subject.
what are the important tasks in a creative process, a musical creative process? So the second is kind of design space, and maybe the third that's kind of emotional mapping. But well, we'll see. We won't do everything today, at least to try to summarize. So thanks a lot, and we should be back around maybe let's try 1:30 or not to. Or I don't know. Well, let's see. Everything. Thank you for being there as well, and the other followers, and see you soon after lunch. Bye, Carlos. Thank you.
Thank you, Pierre. My regards to everyone there. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mauro.